When my husband, Michael, passed away, my world went silent. It wasn't the kind of silence that comes from a quiet house after everyone has gone to bed, but the kind that seems to echo in your bones, pressing on your chest until even breathing feels like a task too heavy to carry. I had always thought of myself as strong, the type of woman who could manage life's ups and downs with some grace, but nothing prepared me for the emptiness that followed his last breath. Michael and I had been married for over 25 years. We had built a life together in our cozy home in a small suburban neighborhood in Ohio. We had one son, Ethan, who was our pride and joy. Ethan had grown into a responsible young man, kind-hearted, hard-working, and everything we could have hoped for in a child. But when Michael left us suddenly after a heart attack, it felt like someone had stolen the sun from our skies, leaving us in perpetual darkness. The first few weeks after his passing were unbearable. People came and went, offering condolences, bringing food, sending flowers, and saying the words they thought might comfort me. But no words could touch the raw ache inside me. When the visitors stopped coming, when the casseroles stopped arriving, and when the silence of the house stretched into eternity, that's when the reality hit hardest. I was alone. Ethan tried his best to be there for me, but he was juggling college and part-time work. He visited when he could, but I encouraged him to live his life. I didn't want him to put his future on hold just because I was drowning in grief. And so, the evenings became my hardest hours. I would sit on the couch, staring at Michael's empty chair, remembering his laugh, his voice, the way he used to hold my hand when we watched television together. Sometimes I swore I could still hear him humming under his breath when he worked on projects in the garage. The loneliness was unbearable. One rainy Saturday evening, as I sat curled up with a blanket, staring blankly at the flickering television, there was a knock at the door. At first, I thought it must be a mistake. Nobody ever knocked on my door unannounced anymore. Slowly, I rose from the couch, my heart thudding with curiosity and a twinge of anxiety. When I opened the door, I was surprised to see Ryan standing there. Ryan was one of Ethan's closest friends. He had been at our house countless times over the years, sometimes for sleepovers when they were younger, other times just to hang out in the backyard or play video games in the living room. He had always been polite, with a warm smile that could brighten any room. But that evening, his smile was faint, replaced by something softer, more concerned. "Hi, Mrs. Walker," he said gently, his voice almost hesitant. I hope I'm not intruding. I just wanted to check in on you." For a moment, I couldn't find the words. No one had stopped by like this in weeks, not even neighbors. My throat tightened, and I had to blink back the tears that threatened to spill. "Ryan," I said softly, "it's so good to see you. Come in." He stepped inside, shaking the rain from his jacket, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something shift in the heavy atmosphere of the house. Ryan brought a warmth with him, a kind of lightness that seemed to push back the shadows. We sat in the living room, and he asked me how I was doing. The words caught in my throat, but somehow, with him sitting there, I let myself speak honestly. I told him about the long nights, the empty mornings, the way grief seemed to sneak up on me when I least expected it. He listened intently, his eyes full of compassion, never once interrupting. When I finally stopped talking, embarrassed at how much I had poured out, Ryan leaned forward and said quietly, "I know I can't understand exactly what you're going through, but I don't want you to go through it alone. You've always been like family to me. You were always there for Ethan, and for me too when I came over. I want to return that kindness." Those words pierced straight through my loneliness. I realized then how much I had been craving not just company, but understanding. And Ryan, despite being younger, offered me a kind of presence I hadn't expected. From that evening on, Ryan started coming by more often. Sometimes he would bring groceries or take out, insisting we share a meal together. Other times he'd just sit with me in the living room, talking about everything from college life to memories of Ethan and him growing up. Slowly, his visits became a comfort I looked forward to. There were evenings when we laughed, really laughed, for the first time since Michael's passing. Ryan would remind me of the silly things Ethan used to do, like when he dressed up as a superhero and tried to climb the neighbor's fence, or when they built a treehouse that collapsed after 2 days. Those stories warmed my heart and reminded me that even in grief, there could still be moments of joy. But it wasn't just laughter he brought. On the days when I broke down, overwhelmed by the weight of missing Michael, Ryan didn't shy away. He would sit quietly, letting me cry, sometimes offering a gentle word, sometimes just being there in silence. And that silence was different. It wasn't the suffocating silence of loneliness. It was the comforting silence of companionship. One night, as we sat on the porch watching the sun set, I told him something I hadn't admitted to anyone else. "I feel guilty," I whispered, staring at the fading light. "I feel guilty for being alive when Michael isn't. I feel guilty for even laughing sometimes, as if I'm betraying his memory." Ryan was quiet for a moment, then said softly, "Mrs. Walker, Michael wouldn't want you to carry that guilt. I didn't know him as well as you did, but I know he loved you, and Ethan more than anything. Don't you think he'd want you to find reasons to smile again?" His words struck me deeply. It was the first time someone had given me permission, in a way, to imagine happiness again. And for the first time, I allowed myself to believe it was possible. Ryan's visits became a turning point in my healing. Slowly, I began to step outside more, to reconnect with the world beyond my grief. I started tending the garden again, something Michael had always loved. Ryan even helped me plant new flowers, joking that he had no idea what he was doing but would follow my instructions faithfully. Through it all, I realized something profound. Sometimes healing doesn't come from where we expect. I thought my strength had to come from within, but it was Ryan's unexpected kindness that gave me the courage to keep moving forward. He reminded me that life, though marked by loss, could still hold unexpected blessings. I'll never forget the night he first knocked on my door. In that simple act of concern, Ryan gave me back a piece of myself I thought I had lost forever. My journey of grief wasn't over, but I no longer walked it alone. And maybe that's the most powerful truth I've learned. Sometimes, healing doesn't arrive with grand gestures or perfect answers. Sometimes it comes with a gentle knock on the door, reminding us that even in our darkest hours, light can find its way back in.